As a man, right, have a listen to these symptoms. These are the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. And these symptoms and this pain and discomfort and anxiety and stress and worry only affects women. So very quickly, night sweating, hot flushes, cold flushes, vertigo, dizziness, irritability, restless leg syndrome, mood swings, low mood, anxiety, panic attacks, aggression, rage, palpitations, overwhelmed, lack of focus, poor memory, poor concentration, insomnia, poor quality sleep, muscle cramps, incontinence, urgency, achy joints and muscles, sore, painful breasts, changes in periods or loss of periods, headaches, migraines, vaginal dryness, painful sex, low sex drive, loss of libido, skin changes, changes in fingernails, bad breath, bleeding sensitive gums, burning mouth and tongue, tingling, electric shock sensations, facial hair, hair loss and thinning, weight gain, sinus issues, itchy skin, allergies, tinnitus, changing body odor, digestive issues, bloating and fatigue. I mean, that is the longest list of symptoms that I've ever read. I'm not suggesting for a moment that all women get all symptoms, but I imagine they get a lot of them. I came across a conversation, actually, because you can't open a newspaper or a magazine these days without seeing women's stories on menopause and perimenopause, and a very important national conversation on women's health has been started, and it's not going away, thankfully. And for many, many decades, hundreds of years, perhaps thousands of years, women just suffered in silence and just felt that it was just the change of life, as they say. But reading the list of symptoms that women suffer, sometimes for 10, 15 years or more, I mean, it's just extraordinary. Anyway, the article that I read was an RSVP article that they also shared on Live, and it was the story of Emma Ahern, who started, I suppose it would have been perimenopause first, and then ovarian failure at 37. Incidentally, I've also come across other stories of even younger than that. Emma joins me by phone. Emma, good morning.
Good morning, Neil. How are you?
Good. What about that? What about that checklist, those symptoms? I mean, that's got to be 30 or 40 alone.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have suffered from all of those.
No, I'm not suggesting it, but
yeah,
like, take your pick. Come on, man.
And absolutely. And, you know, even I'd say a lot of women wouldn't even recognise a lot of those symptoms as menopausal symptoms. So I think it's an important topic for us to be covering, you know.
And was it something that you hadn't expected in your life until, 55, 60, 65, that kind of thing?
I'll be honest, I'd never thought about it at all. I never thought about what age I'd reach it. It never crossed my mind.
Because at that stage of your life, it's not on the roadmap yet. Yeah, I understand.
No. It's just about getting through with small kids every day is what's on the roadmap. So, yeah, for me, it was a huge shock. I had been suffering the symptoms for a while, and they kind of went amiss. We were trying different things. I thought I had first to go. You know, it wasn't until I kind of pushed and further investigated it that it transpired that it was menopause, actually. And it wasn't perimenopause. I actually kind of catapulted into menopause.
And what were the first warning signs? Did I read exhaustion, constant exhaustion, was it?
Yeah, so like I would have, because I had twins as well and an older little girl at the time, I just thought that exhaustion was par for the course. And it wasn't until they kind of started school and I had just that little bit extra time that I just couldn't go about my day. I had to go back to bed after they went back to school. And that's not really who I am. You know, I'm energetic. I kind of lead a healthy lifestyle. So for me, that just didn't add up.
Then, of course, there was, I believe, bloating. And this is overwhelming because straight away you started thinking cancer, did you?
No, it wasn't straight away, actually. But as time was going on, and, you know, I was after developing a bit of anxiety from that as well. So I was just imagining the worst. I was just saying there has to be something at the root of it. So I just convinced myself, that I had some sort of cancer. And it was, but actually, in hindsight, it was I had cysts on my ovaries, which pushed me to actually get a pelvic ultrasound done. And it was that sonographer that said to me, I should get my ovaries checked, actually, because they look older than they should for my age. Okay. So at this stage, Penny still wasn't dropping. Was it a blood test or a GP picked up that actually you have started? Yeah, it was through bloods afterwards. So I'd had my bloods done because of the exhaustion. but my hormone levels hadn't been checked as part of that. So we went back and checked the hormone levels. Yeah, and I had literally catapulted into menopause.
How did you react to that news? How did that make you feel, as I say, at 39?
Well, on one side, I was glad that there was actually a root to the problem. But on the other side, it was something I wasn't ready for. Psychologically, it was a bitter pill to swallow, to be honest. Now, I hadn't intended having any more children anyway, but I felt that was my decision to make, and then I felt the decision had been taken away from me. I just felt my body had kind of let me down a little bit. I felt tired, I felt old, and I didn't really feel that I should be experiencing that at that age.
Yeah, there's a very powerful paragraph in your article where you say, as well as the lack of information and support, you struggled with your own sense of identity. You said, of course, I was glad it wasn't an illness, but I still had to process that I was 38, menopausal, and I really struggled. I felt old, unattractive. I was about to turn 39. My 40s were approaching. I felt past my sell-by date. I had a sense of, that's it for me now.
Yeah, I did actually. I did feel that. And, I did, the way I suppose I was looking back to my 20s and 30s where it was all kind of, engagements and weddings and babies and all real big positive life experiences. And then I was faced with this, and there was definitely that sense of where to from here,
And some of the other, these aren't symptoms actually, these are actually happening. This is because we spoke about exhaustion, and you'd wake during the night with aches and pains. But I was very interested about brain fog. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, oh God.
You would have to write things down, is it?
Yeah. So I like during the day I get this kind of sense of panic of, oh my, what day, like where am I meant to be? What day is it? I can't even describe the brain fog that came with it. I had to question everything. I had to put alarms in my phone for everything and write everything down in relation to the kids. Everything. Yeah, the brain fog was unbelievable, actually.
And you could be mid-sentence and lose your train, just forget what you were talking about, is it?
Yeah, completely forget. Now, it can still happen to me today, and it's not the menopause, but, it's just that sense of I'd feel under pressure to try and concentrate on what I was doing all the time. Because
you described that as embarrassing, you would lose your train of thought mid-sentence. Was anybody picking up on it, your partner or friends, that you were having the conversations with?
I suppose my husband knew that I just wasn't right. He, because of the fact that everything else that was going with it, like we knew there was something that wasn't connecting up. So for me, the brain fog thing, I would feel it more when I was under pressure. So it would probably be more if I was talking to somebody that I didn't know and I was concentrating really hard to actually get the words out.
Because you'd almost be thinking to yourself, is this early Alzheimer's?
I didn't know, like all of those things went through my head.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I just didn't have a clue. But, I suppose to come out, like I have come out the other side of it, and I definitely, got an energy from it. Like I took the whole, is this it for me? And I kind of turned it on its head. I could see that actually I had my family. I was really lucky in that regard that I had my children. I didn't want any more. So I was able, when the fog lifted, I was able to see all the positive things.
When the fog lifted, had you already come through because of the hormone imbalance? Because I know that you would cry a lot, that your emotions were all over the place. You would I imagine there was frustration, and you wrote about being angry a lot. Yeah.
Well, it was just, I suppose any woman who's ever, had PMT or any sort of hormones going on, you just know it's a different type of anger. It's, somebody's breathing can actually annoy you, and it was like that. that's the way I felt a lot of the time, was that I'd just get angry about things that wouldn't normally unsettle me, let's say.
And is this... So what ultimately happened then? Did you go on a course of HRT?
Yeah, well, I'm on HRT. Yeah. HRT is an ongoing thing for me, yeah. So it just took a bit of tweaking, and we had to try a couple of different strengths and that, but eventually found the one that worked for me.
And women have to pay for all treatment, right? They have to pay for the treatment, they have to pay for the HRT, they have to pay for all of the meds, they have to pay for all of the physio that would be needed because there was a lot of muscle issues there. All of the costs have to be paid for.
Yeah, they sure do. And actually, interestingly, when I was in Spain last year, the actual HRT that I get here, I think it was €18 something here, it was €3 something in Spain.
And why do women tolerate that this isn't being provided free?
But I suppose it's the same for the contraceptive pill. That's, you have to pay for that as well. I don't know is the answer to that.
A lot more women are talking now, aren't they? Which has got to be a good thing.
And I think that's we need to take the mystery out of it. We need to kind of share. I think my own opinion is that the more that we share each other, the more we can support each other, I do think that opening up the conversation, with our kids, making it normal, taking the mystery out of everything to do with women's health is a big step in the right direction.
And why was it something that wasn't spoken about before, do you think? Was it embarrassment or self-conscious?
I think it's a cultural thing. For me, even when I was initially in menopause, I didn't say the words even for a while because I was I suppose I felt a bit of shame around it.
Because of your age, is it?
Well, I just think because we're not used to speaking so openly about these things.
Because I know that Dr. Mary Ryan, who deals with issues related to women's health, says women are not depressed. They're not getting dementia. It's a hormone imbalance. It can be extremely distressing. But in spite of all of that, she says it's a lack of knowledge that women aren't as aware as they should be.
Absolutely. And that's I completely agree with that. Like, even for myself, it was the furthest thing from my mind, and even since that article, actually, since I wrote the article, and people have come to me that I wouldn't even be in regular touch with, thanking me for actually sharing my story, and that they're questioning themselves, and, just for opening up the conversation. So I think we're ready to take it to the next level. I think we're ready to open up the conversation and to learn more about it and to be as informed as we possibly can.
In the sense that she says that it is the second chapter of women's lives, but it should be seen as a positive chapter in their lives, not something to be feared.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, once I did process it and come to terms with it, I saw it just as that, as kind of the sense that I have still plenty to give,
I would imagine that for a long time, a lot of the symptoms that I've described, or indeed yourself there that you described as with regards to your emotions, would have been prescribed antidepressants? Possibly still are?
Possibly so, that's it. I think that's nearly a conversation for another day, but for sure, I think that that we can help ourselves more than we probably historically have been helping ourselves.
But do you think that GPs have, this is not a question that you can answer if that's okay, but that a lot of GPs may not have the experience in dealing with menopause? They only maybe do a quick course in college and don't perhaps update their knowledge? No,
I would agree with that, because it's like, even to be seen, I suppose they're afraid nearly, because you see, it is kind of a thing that one size doesn't fit all. It's so varied, it's so vast that it would be difficult for them to specialize. You need to do a specialist to be a consultant, I guess, to give the proper information on it. But I think that it's becoming more and more spoken about. I think that GPs are going to have to kind of get on board with that.
Do GPs do they administer HRT easily enough? I wonder.
They can prescribe it. Yeah,
but
they prescribe.
Are they willing to do that?
Well,
I've heard a lot of women have to fight for it.
Well, I didn't have to fight for it because of the fact that my body needed it so badly. I needed the estrogen from the HRT because my body wouldn't have been able to sustain itself.
So how did you flip that negative to a positive then finally? Was it just coming to terms with this is just the circle of life?
Exactly. It is the circle of life. I went back to college. I'm back studying college. I just see that there's more to be achieved, and that's how I feel about it personally. To
be an advocate for more information and more knowledge is a powerful thing. Well done.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks for taking the call, Emma. Good luck.
Neil Prendeville, the voice of Cork. Weekdays 9 to 12. Cork's Red FM. Red FM.